Barb, I don't think I gave you this. There.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Erin Trussell, our Finance Director, would you like to begin? Good morning, Betty.
I'm just gonna put those up there. Hi, Betty. All right, the county checkbook has $284,587.32. The jail checkbook has $35,124.12. We've borrowed a total of 150 so far on the TAN, 150,000. The county should be at 8%. I mean, the whole county-wide. The county's at 7% and the jail's at 6%. So we're doing good the first month. A lot of the stuff have been paid upfront for like your the 1080 accounts, the firefighters association, and those are all paid. We don't. So going forward, I think that's about it. I did get rid of some records. I'm starting to purge because anything older than 6 years I can get rid of. So bank reconciliations from 2009 to 2015, I shredded all of those. So I just needed to let you guys know that. That is it. I did do a change up on the format of how I'm doing the warrants now. I'm running everything through the general funds. And then I'm cutting one check from the reserves and putting it into the general funds to cover. Yeah. Because it is very hard to do the 1099s every year, trying to run through all the reserves to see who I have to pull in. And this way, the auditors always wanted everything to run through the general funds anyways. So now I figured out how to do everything. I'm still going to make the list separately for you so that you know what's spent out of the reserves, but they're all combined into the regular warrants. Yeah. And then that's less signatures. It's you sign off on accounts payable for both sides. And when you look at the cover page, you'll see the breakdown, the one that you sign on.
Okay. Oh, that's it. Then I'll make a motion to accept the finance director's report.
Betty, can you hear? Do you want a second or would you like me to? I'll second that motion. Seeing no further discussion, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I just wanted to speak. I see Karen has passed us our state valuations.
Yeah, I was going to do that when you guys are all done with the financial part.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got excited. Actually, I was disappointed. I noticed there are no decreases.
No decreases.
All right.
That's got nothing to do with me.
No, no, that is the state. I didn't understand that.
Because I have the original for you guys to sign right here.
All right, let's sign some warrants. The general fund. Accounts payable reserve warrant for a total of $309,541.12.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor?
Aye.
The second warrant, MCRRC accounts payable reserve warrant for $62,550.25.
So moved.
Okay, second. All of those in favor? Thank you. There's only two. All right. Karen, if you'd like
Okay,
to-
and now we've got the certified state valuations in. So I sat and calculated the taxes for 2022. And we just need you guys to approve so Barb can send out the commitment letters.
Well, it's not
It's
gonna
a
be
tax-
changed, right there?
It's a tax rate of, where is it? 0.001764, so it's $1.76 per thousand.
Yeah.
That's the original to sign.
And these are state valuations, just to
Yes.
make that clear for anyone listening, this is not numbers that we come up with, this is the state. And historically, in the past, you might find one or two towns that have a decrease. And I can't help it.
Not for sure.
There isn't any.
Well, there's so much building going on.
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, remember, we all talked about how when real estate was flying out of here at these outrageous prices, we knew it was gonna come back.
Yeah.
And Elaine, your town increased 150,000.
Yeah, you have that list too that shows the breakdown.
Commissioner Shuri, I'll make
The second
I
page
guess
is
I
the
would ask you,
comparison.
sir, if you would make a motion that we sign
I do.
Bill has made a motion that we sign the Waldo County tax, jail tax breakdown.
A second.
Betty seconded. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor? Betty, may we stamp you?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Unless you have more questions.
That's good, Karen.
Wow, with some of these towns, holy cow, the increase.
Yeah, there's major increases on some of them.
Lincolnville, Belfast.
Palermo.
Yep.
Searsport, Stockton Springs.
If you look at the next page, I think only one town's tax went down. But it wasn't by very much.
Oh, my mistake, Freedom.
Freedom, 154.67 less than last year for our taxes. Everybody else had an increase.
Elaine, do you want a copy of this?
She's got one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
very
I gave
much,
her one.
Karen. Thank you. Any other questions for Karen? Betty, you got any questions for Karen, huh?
Nope.
Okay, okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Kelly. Our HR director, good morning.
Good morning. So very quick, we got another payroll down in the new payroll system, and it's getting smoother and smoother. And we got all the premium overtime pay rates to work automatically finally. So that was kind of a chore, but it is done and it's perfect. I was so happy. And I trained the sheriff's office, their manager, supervisor people, so that they can manage their own time cards and make it smoother. And then next week I'll be working with corrections.
Excellent.
So the only thing I really have is I have a letter from the IT department asking or notifying you of his 2-year anniversary. That is February 5th. And his salary will increase to $77,272.58. And that his leave, he will also receive a leave bound increase. He increases how much he earns a month in vacation to 8 hours from 6.67.
So noted.
Okay, and that is all I have unless you have questions for me.
No question.
Betty, do you have any questions for Kelly?
No.
Okay,
Excellent.
a good
Thank you
day.
very much.
thank you.
Mike is not here because we are running early. So I was gonna ask Dale if he wanted to stop. Kelly. Kelly, get out. Dale,
I didn't
Dale.
realize he was next.
Before we go into executive session, let me just ask, do you feel that we need an executive session?
It's up to you. I mean, you were at that meeting too. That's what I was gonna talk about.
I really truly don't think we do.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this, not in executive session. Dale, please join us.
Along with that, I also have the updated architect agreement too.
Excellent. Do you feel you need an executive session for that after?
I don't think, well, I don't think so. It's just, we're just updating the contract.
Okay, okay, good.
Well, we did have the meeting yesterday with Knox and with some representatives from the state, LUPC, Land Use Planning Commission, and also didn't say much, but the GIS guy was on, Bob Bistris, also. Lengthy discussion. We presented our case. Personally, I think Andy Hart from Knox, not only did he concede LaSalle, but I think he understood that they didn't have a case for any of the islands. However,
We'll look over it.
however, well, the next step is we're looking to, Rob Hoy found the law that says who basically identifies where the water boundaries are, draws them on a map. Representatives from the Department of Agriculture and Conservation didn't realize that they had that responsibility, and they're supposed to find the person in their agency who is the one who does that. We're going to have another meeting between Knox and Waldo and that office to look into the redrawing of the lines, the water boundary lines. I guess at this point, there's really doesn't have to be any decisions made.
And so what we tried to do when we sat down at the table is almost like a court hearing where like we present our side and Dale and Rob have done such an extraordinary job at going through the history. And actually, if you're ever bored, read through the history. It really is interesting. And back, 40, 60 years ago, when they redid these maps, I mean, truly, there's this terrible mistake on the map. Dave and Rob have actually found all the legislative statutes and laws that explain exactly the direction of the lines and everything else. And it's like, okay, so this is our information. It's all on the table. We're all sharing every bit of information that we've got. And Knox didn't have any information to dispute or give us any addition. So basically, you follow the law that's there because there's no other law that we can find otherwise. But I mean, it's been a cool mission. I mean, we didn't go into this endeavor to see if we could get money from another county or anything like that. It's not a dispute. It's a correction, a clarification of whatever. So, but the legislature has to, in their wisdom, like either Hail Mary, like, yes, this is the correction and so on and so forth. And you really worry that the ball will get dropped if nothing is said. So the lady from the land use, Stacy, is tasked now with reaching out to conservation, agriculture, and forestry, who was tasked with this responsibility, in
1973.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the state planning office in 1973, and then the law was changed in 2013 because the state planning office went away.
Yeah.
Given that responsibility to the Department of Agriculture.
So she has been kind enough to be tasked to go within that group and find out who's supposed to do what or where they take the lead or whatever. She's going to get back to us and set up another meeting. But I mean, it was just.
The law basically says that office, whoever that person is that we're all trying to find, is responsible for drawing the lines according to the law. So right now they've got all the tools they need. We've identified all the law, and they should just draw that line to encompass the land masses that are part of Waldo. Sometimes bureaucracies don't like to take a lot of responsibility. I know, you may find that surprising. But so if they're not willing to draw that line to encompass the law, then the only, you get two recourses. You can either sue the state, which I don't think we want to do that. And it's not even suing Knox. Knox hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah, they haven't done anything wrong.
They know they haven't done anything wrong. it's the state that's responsible for the boundaries, not the counties. Or the legislature could go back and what we pushed, through, set up the first time, clarify the thing, they could do that also, then that would kind of give the impetus to the bureaucracy to say, okay, we'll go draw the lines now.
And I think, Dale, I think you and Rob did a really good job because Knox was kind of under the impression that they were rather surprised that all of a sudden they were notified there was this hearing. And we tried to explain to them that, yes, we put forth a bill to, the senator, and he had put it in, but none of us realized that anybody was gonna put it in
It's an emergency.
as an emergency bill. We all made it very clear, this is not an emergency bill, and we were surprised as they were. So, we made that really clear, because I think there was some hard feelings there, thinking that we were trying to pull a fast one, and truly, nobody was.
We're doing our research in-house. They have a land surveyor who they're using to do their research. Now, land survey is not going to set the water boundaries because
It's not land.
it's not land. But they're trained in doing research. So far, he actually called and talked with Rob, who's the land surveyor, and he said that he could see anything that Rob has come up with
To dispute.
to dispute it. I mean, so.
We still in a situation where when you get to Augusta, some guy from St. George or Thomaston is gonna, I think we gotta deal with us, so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it could happen.
It should be done right now.
But what's actually come out of it that was almost interesting, Bill, in speaking with some of the other state representatives, people there from the other agencies, we're probably not the only counties that have issues with, especially water boundaries, or whatever.
Yeah.
Penobscot Bay, it was, the last law that they have is so clear, even a fool like myself can completely understand, the line went this way.
Yeah.
And
It is specified that what they call Orphan Island, which is now Verona Island.
Yeah.
That Verona Island is to the east of that line, i.e. in Hancock, and Alsborough is to the west of that line, i.e. in Waldo.
so, I mean, you couldn't mess it up. But what I think happened, this is just my idiot idea. Years back, and these guys found it also, Appleton, Hope,
In Kansas.
Palermo, Camden, and Rockport were all part of Waldo County. And when they annexed those, or they gave those to Knox County, see, originally, the line would have gone like, way down around all of these islands. And when we lost those, instead, but it never mentions the islands, okay, we lost those towns. Instead of continuing the line like this, it almost to me looks like somebody went, oh, just cut it across. But it never speaks of us losing any islands.
Because
And it's very clear.
The 1860 law that created Knox County, it said these towns in Waldo go to Knox, and these towns and territories in Lincoln go to Knox. So it specifically mentioned territories in the law.
Which would be unorganized, right?
Right, the islands, but it didn't mention territories from Waldo being transferred, just some territories, Martinicus, in that area, going to Walker Creek, Knox from Lincoln. So, I mean, at one point, the administrator from Knox said, "Well, I can't disagree with any of this, but because, I mean, if you follow the law, and my hope is that this person at the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, who's responsible for drawing these water boundaries, in accordance with, it says, in accordance with the charter of the county or the law." Well, Knox's charter says the boundaries are in conjunction with the state law. So it doesn't even mention, it just refers it back to law. We don't even have a charter. So it goes back to state law. And state law clearly states where that line should be. So technically, we don't even need the clarification from the legislature. This person should just be able to say, yep, you're right, following the law, here's where it is. But a lot of times they don't take responsibility, and it may take a push from the legislature in a year or wherever, whenever the next set of
I don't
sessions are.
I don't see anything in this session. It is an emergency bill session that's almost over. I don't see anything. I figured down the road.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, and again, we made it very clear, guys, we didn't do this to like get money or steal land or whatever. This is serious error on some of these maps. And if we could find this, you know, you really start to wonder like, what else?
So, and they go off this mistake with everything else they come up with. So they just came out with the apportionment maps, the voting maps, on, you know, what districts and all that. And it's got LaSalle and the islands in Knox. Even though LaSalle, of course, there's nobody voting at LaSalle. But if there was, if someone decided to move out there permanent, become a resident, had to go vote somewhere, theoretically, they should be coming into Belfast to vote, not Rockland. But the apportionment map has them going Rockland. And it just carries forth on everything.
Yeah.
Because of the mistake in the where that line was drawn.
So as I say, it was a really great meeting and a really cool history lesson that we're finding of this, the work and stuff that he and Rob have found, and you know, the folks from the state is it's incredible and appreciated. So
Well, and a little bit more on this history. 1973 was creating this law about drawing the boundaries. The reason why they did this was many of the islands nobody knew who even owned them. Who owned the things, what counties they were in, nothing. And they said, we got to straighten this out. So they created the island registry, and they created a department to run all of this. They had two missions. One, find out which county it's in, and two, who owns if anybody owns the land or not. Some of the islands just became state territory because they couldn't find anybody that owned it. Others, people had to prove, yeah, here's my chain of deeds showing that I own this. And they went through that whole process throughout the 70s. But they never did the second part, where does the line for these counties? They never finished that. So in 1980, there was a lady on LaSalle that was saying, okay, which county am I supposed to be registering my deeds in? And which was what this law was supposed to have done. And she had to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer went to the state, and the state said, well, we were not going to make that determination. So he went and did the research, came up with most of the same stuff that we came up with,
Yeah.
and said, hey, not only is LaSalle, but all these islands are in Waldo County. And the letter back was, well, we're not going to take responsibility for that from the state.
Gail has all of this.
We have all this. I mean, we
He
have
has
just
all of this
stacked.
information. It's like, oh my goodness.
So this is the era started in 1941 on a USGS map. They just drew the line in the wrong place. And it's caused problems ever since. And the state had an opportunity in the 1970s to fix this. And they didn't. They, kicked the can down the road some more.
Oh.
And 1980 came around, this one here, confirming that LaSalle was in Waldo. He only was representing LaSalle. He wasn't representing
That's all he
the
cared
islands.
about. You can't blame them. Yeah.
So at that point in time, we figure around 1980, officially LaSalle was registering its deeds in Waldo and paying its taxes, for Waldo.
Yeah.
From that point on. I don't know if they were paying taxes before. Again, nobody knew who owned them or where they were in the sense of, boundaries.
And the little islands, LaSalle would be the biggest one.
Yeah.
The other islands, I mean, I think Robin figured, one of them's like $36 or something in taxes. So it's not even a matter of like, you're gonna make bank. It's just, it's a map.
What some of them they're only seeing at low tide.
Well, yeah,
So you're not building on it.
it's kind of like our little Bermuda, but it really is interesting and it makes it interesting because then all of a sudden they start looking at the whole Penobscot Bay and the islands along it. It's like, wait a minute, what else is launched up the lane?
My question is, if you're only seeing these islands at low
Well,
tide,
there's a few like that. Most-
Yeah,
some are
with
low tide.
the ocean warming up, they had a big thing on the news last night about, not 207, I think it was last night, but the night before last. So eventually, these islands are gonna just be rocks under the water.
Some of what we're calling islands, some of them are just shoals.
Okay,
The Tinnick, I mean, excuse me, LaSalle is, that's well above, matter of fact, I think it's 150, 200 feet above sea level.
okay.
It used to be called Maker Island.
Mouse Island.
Marks Island, there's several other islands that are out there that they're permanently above water, and they will be for, unless
Few more centuries.
Noah comes around again.
Yeah.
So, but there's a few that are shown on the map that don't even have names. And it's because they're not real islands. They're
Yeah.
just where it gets really shallow.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we found that you could probably at low tide, if you were a tall person, you could probably walk from Line to LaSalle.
So it's cool. So the lady from land use is going to make a connection or find out who to talk to.
Yeah.
And get back to the team, the group. Waldo and Knox, we're all in the same loop. We all share any new information anybody gets goes to this link so that we can all receive it, share it.
Yeah.
And she's trying to hook up with somebody from the state office there to see who's supposed to.
So somebody's gonna find out they had an additional duty they didn't realize. they
Well, yeah,
had.
really, and we were good because instead of saying, okay, let us know when you do, I mean, we were like 6 weeks, you have 6 weeks. Because otherwise on that, that's really easy to sweep it under the rug. So, yeah, we can't even commend you guys enough for the history lesson that we've all gotten. And what we're doing, it's cool.
I guess that's it for the meeting with, the LaSalle issue.
I don't know if Betty is still on. I don't believe she is. I don't think so. Okay, I didn't know she.
Oh, there she is.
Betty, did you have any questions for Dale? Have you been able to hear this? Okay. All right, thank you, Betty.
I have the new supplemental agreement with the architect.
Okay,
It cuts $240,000 out of his contract
okay.
for work that we're not gonna have him do. And if you guys are okay with it, then we can vote on it, and then the chair can sign. And we tweaked, the what he gets paid.
Yeah.
Depending on what work
And
he's
there was
actually
stuff
gonna
that
do.
was being done, like the irrigation system at the end,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
The airport, and we took deeds and DA out of there also.
Yeah.
I think
We
the-
ordered that piece of equipment, so a long order for the water system.
Oh, okay,
So we think it's gonna work very well.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But Dale, just quickly, I mentioned that, I was talking to Captain Walker about this. We've got these ponds that we can have a pump out to fill it up, but if we don't have those available, we could actually have a tank, elevated tank and be filling while we're spreading, know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to drive into under it, dump it in, fill up again, go. So we're gonna find some simple system that probably the pump out of the ponds will work the best. I don't think we'll have to go down and get out of the stream.
Yeah, I think, well, I've got a question to the civil engineer on the project to find out how many gallons of water is in the wet pond, which is the stormwater pond. It'll always hold that water only, and when it gets over a certain point, then it will release it. But it's part of the stormwater system, but it's also gonna have a dry hydrant set up to it.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be easy to set up a
Yeah,
pump right next to it and pump 500 gallons a minute out of it. It's probably gonna hold 20 or 30,000 gallons of water.
yeah,
And that's gonna be small compared to if you did want to develop the other pond,
yeah.
the other one that existed before, the other farm pond, you're probably looking at 150,000 gallons of water that.
Sure,
you sit on
that'll do
there.
it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you did want to put, like we mentioned, a well out there, then you could just have it trickling into that pond all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of overwhelming the well, but you'd store a much better water.
Sure, sure. We can finally get rid of those parking spaces. You send us.
Yeah.
That was good, thank you.
So Bill, I'll entertain a motion that I sign this supplemental agreement.
You wanna make that motion?
Betty, Bill has made a motion that I sign the new agreement with the architect. Will you second?
Okay.
You're on mute, I think. Okay. All right, so.
So Dale, is this primarily the only thing we have with them existing now?
Is the EMA building in the warehouse?
Yep,
I think deeds and DA, we can do in-house.
Yeah.
What we need for construction documents. I don't think that'll be very difficult. Again, and that's, we're not doing the airport.
yeah,
We're not doing a major irrigation system. So it just comes down to, after these two projects, the deeds and DA. And since those are more than likely renovation type projects,
sure.
I don't think we need anything super elaborate.
No,
I can come up with plans.
and that's why somebody like that could,
Could easily do that. You're not building a whole building, you're just moving some walls and doors and
yeah,
lights and things like that.
Excellent. Excellent, yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.
Very much.
Good job.
Thanks.
Betty, do you have any questions for Dale? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Thank you very much.
No, I need to leave pretty much now, so, but I have no questions, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Betty.
All right, thank you.
Director Larrabee,
Hello, hello.
good day, sir.
one of my,
How are you?
good, you,
Better now. Now that COVID's gone.
Right.
I was a week out for that.
Oh, you had COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Well, glad you're feeling better.
Oh, me too. All right. I figured I'd give you a copy of those, because that's everything I write everything down anyway, so. So I don't have a ton, just kind of a recap of things. The new hire we have, she's just finishing up today, her last academy class. Hope to have her on her own by the end of March, beginning of April. Currently had an open process where we only received 2 applications. We had 2 on file already, so we have 4. Usually, like through Indeed, we usually get 100 at least 100 resumes. We only got 23 this time, so not sure. People just don't want to work.
I was gonna say, well,
I don't know. It's crazy. So
everybody's experiencing that, Mike, don't.
Yep.
don't think it's you.
yep. So hopefully we can get something out of this. We'll start interview. We have, well, my last topic is COVID. I have one more out now with COVID. Had myself and another one out last week, and I'm sure it's going to go right through. But I just talked to Keith. We got a company that's going to come up and sanitize the whole radio room. And hopefully that'll.
What are they out with the COVID for 5 days? Is that?
Yeah, it's funny, actually. I just found this flow chart online at the Maine CDC that helps really, really well. If you test positive, you're going to stay out for 5 days. And then you're allowed to come back if you're no symptoms or resolving symptoms, but you're going to wear a mask for an additional 5 days. So it's a 10-day process.
Is it also saying that even if it's a positive test, but there's no symptoms?
It does not. It just, if you're positive is where they're saying it now. But
I wish you all well, and I've got to say, I know more people right now that have COVID. I know of 3 that are
yeah.
double boosted and get the second.
Yeah,
dose.
I tested positive, and then it was on a Sunday. Monday and Tuesday were just like I had a head cold, and then Wednesday it was gone. Because of my asthma, I've still got a little bit lingering in my chest, but other than that, it hasn't been bad.
Well, and I keep warning people, this is perfect cold and flu season right now,
Yeah.
where it's 41 day and 30 below the net.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, me too.
Wish you guys all.
and all your shots and boosters.
Yep.
Fine. Boy, I just can't, I just don't understand.
Well, and that's what scares me is, I mean, literally, and I won't say out loud who it is, but it's a family very close to me. It's had all their double shots and boosters.
Yeah.
And they're all in COVID. But again, like Mike said, kind of like the
Yeah.
whole, or
Yeah,
no one is.
For me, I think had I not had my vaccination and everything, I think I would have been far worse with my asthma.
Well, you have asthma.
Yeah. So,
Especially an underlying condition.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to hear that you're better.
Yeah, that's good.
We wish everybody at the center well, and I still think that these air circulator
Yeah.
purifiers are a big help.
yeah, I think they're gonna work very well. So,
good.
yeah. Yep, so we're trying to get more people in there. We're still down 2. Hopefully, once Cassie's on her own, we'll have a little bit of relief, so.
So how many of you are you down now, Mike?
Technically 3 on the floor but 2 in the building, because I've got 1 in training.
Okay,
Yep, so 2 more will be fully staffed. But we're technically down 3 workers right now because Cassie's still training.
okay.
So what do you have, 13?
Yes,
What's that call volume?
I haven't checked
That's
it,
a
but
trick question. I should have asked.
no, that's okay, but it's going up.
See those numbers.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll send an email out with them.
When you get
Okay. The new tower, Point Lookout, we finally yesterday got the approval from the FAA. So we can start breaking ground. I talked to Mr. Hirschfeld. He's currently in Florida enjoying warm weather and doesn't know when he'll be back. But he said, start whenever. So he was ecstatic. And his comment to me was, you actually got something out of the FAA.
Yeah. God bless him. It's been a pleasure to work with.
He has. He's been really, really good. The new radio system moving along. We have all the licensing in. We needed letters of concurrence from 4 different agencies that operate on the same frequency. Those all came back, no problem. We're trying to do tower layouts right now, so we're not overloading the towers. We're trying to avoid having to submit the engineering twice. But we're also trying to keep as much on the towers as possible. So we're trying to walk a fine line with submitting all the stuff for the engineering, and then we don't want them to come back and say that it's overloaded, and then we have to take stuff off and spend another $1,200 to have them re-engineer it. So we did get a complaint on our frequency from an agency in New Hampshire. They had some bad radios, I guess they've had for years, and finally replaced them, and now we're walking all over them. So Norm, the consultant's dealing with that. We are hopefully going to start the construction next week in the comm center and the kit for the kitchen project that I guess Keith brought to you last meeting. So that hopefully will be started. I thought he was going to start this week, but because of the storm, he couldn't. So hopefully next week. And then I already spoke to you about COVID. That's about it.
Mike, the consultant's working out well?
Oh, very, very well.
Good,
So
good.
glad we did that.
Yeah,
So glad we did that.
he is phenomenal. No, everything, like he's dealing with this whole frequency issue that I don't have to deal with. And he's asking me about certain things, but he's basically answered all the questions unless it's something that he can't answer or, so no, he's working out very well.
So you feel we're have got you supported with decent help? to
Oh, yeah.
See you through this.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
So, because not only is he taking some of the workload away, but he's also got ideas that neither myself or the radio company have come up with on certain things. So,
Good.
but yep,
Good.
no, working out good.
Super. I have nothing for Mike, except good wishes, and
Thank you.
I don't know, might make you feel better.
No, I'm good.
Always makes me feel better.
Without getting into the figures, Mike, I read your email on the explanation to your how the.
Yep.
And I was, that's a good email, so I appreciate that.
Okay, I just wanted you to know where, like,
Yeah.
both sides were coming from and how it all started.
Yeah,
And then, I'm gonna have if you folks don't care, I'm just gonna call Jim and explain the same thing to him and just see if we can wash it away until the next contract, and then they can
Yeah.
deal with it then. So, unless you have other ideas. Okay.
well, you know, now going back and looking at the first figures on the negotiations on the last contract, I can see where the 3 and 4 times was coming from. I never understood how someone came up with that idea, but
Yeah,
now I know.
yeah, and like I said, they took one step away by increasing everything to that rate. So now there is no incentive because there is, but there isn't because they're already getting it.
Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, so that's where we're at with that anyway.
Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Mike.
Our best
You're
to
welcome.
everyone.
What's that?
We said our best to everyone.
Yes.
You guys all feel good.
Have a good day.
Yes, you as well. Jason, my apologies, I completely jumped over you. Jason, our technology guy. Jason, are you there? Okay.
I was offended and left the building.
That's
Sorry.
what's happened, Jason.
I couldn't even blame him.
I was like, that's it, I'm out of here. This is the last straw.
Have a donut.
I already had one, but thank you, thank you. So I gave you each a packet of some paperwork today, of some things I'm gonna go over.
Do we want to look at the top sheet,
Yep, the phone system upgrade. So that is I had a visit, a site visit came out from Central Maine Communications, their phone company based out of Farmingdale. They also have offices in Bangor and a few in New Hampshire, I think. So they're a pretty good sized company. I've worked with them in the past at a few different businesses. They came out and they asked for a phone count. So this packet is just what I'm going to be sending them with our requests. I did add one thing to it since I printed it last night. So you don't have that, but I did ask for, and I think this is pretty obvious, but room to expand. I don't want us to be maxed out when we put the phone system in. And also be able to, if we end up putting a new system over at the Superior Court building, be able to move that out to EMA if we so decide down the line. So I don't want it to be something that we're gonna have to buy a brand new system out there. We can reuse this one if need be. So that's pretty much that. I don't think you have to vote on it or anything. I just kind of want to give you a heads up.
Yep.
The next one I'm gonna look at is this one here. Yep. This is a quote for our Windows licenses, which are expiring this year because they don't support Windows 2012 anymore. I'm not asking for a vote on this right now because this quote is from August 24th, so it's not valid anymore. They're gonna get me a new quote, but I just kind of want to give you a heads up on the ballpark figure. It's this one right here, Commissioner Shorey.
Okay.
I can bring mine up if that'd be easier.
Lord, I don't know what.
Nope, I can bring mine up, that's fine. There you go, right there.
So you have one that's highlighted. Is
Yes.
that the cost?
That's gonna be the cost, yes, roughly.
What product?
And
Not
again,
this final.
no, those were different options. And it's because Microsoft, the way they do their licensing now, it's kind of tricky. So they sent me all those costs. Then I had a call with them and Microsoft to verify which one to go with, which one, unfortunately, I don't think it's the cheapest one on there. I think it might be the second cheapest. But that one will cover us. We could set up as many servers as we want with that in the meantime. So I think it's the second cheapest option. It gives us the most flexibility to do what we need to do in the future. And this will support us for another probably 6 to 8 years for Windows for that. So once we have that license.
So price wise, Jason, and these prices somewhat in line what we're paying now, how that,
Yeah, well, we last paid in 2012. So we had those licenses up until now, and Microsoft just isn't going to support 2012 at the end of this year. So if we have any issues, they're going to say, well, we can't help you. So that's why we need to upgrade
Yeah, okay.
for those mission critical servers and things like that.
Yeah. You need these.
No.
feedback?
No, you can keep that one, that's fine. The next thing I have is, so technology, old technology, I'll say. Last 2020, not 2021, I apologize. 2020, the Rotary Club did a take back of technology, electronics, all that sort of stuff. They didn't do it in 2021, and I was speaking with Chief Trundy, and it sounds like they might not be doing it again this year. So I've been trying to figure out what to do with these old computers. We can't just throw them in the dumpster. That's illegal because they might have mercury and chemicals in them and that sort of stuff. I thought about Goodwill, but I worry that they're just going to get overwhelmed with that much items. And I know in the past they've kind of, at the end of the year, I know they kind of say, well, we, of all the donations we get, we also get this much that we have to throw out. So I didn't want to do that as well. We could bring them to the City of Belfast transfer station.
Yep.
And the cost of that ranges from $6 to $11. That's this one right here.
Yeah.
But I found a group they're actually based out of Belfast,
Okay.
but they have their plant, so to speak, is in Waterville. And I spoke to a gentleman there the other day, and it really sounded like a no-brainer to me, for lack of a better term. I'm gonna call a couple of schools that use them just to see if they've had any issues. But what they do is they will come and pick up, or we deliver the equipment to them. They then go through it, repurpose it, clean it all out, and I wipe the drives before I get rid of anything anyway. But they then see if anything's usable. If anything's usable, we get a small credit, like I think it's $5 or $8 credit for it. Anything that they have to throw out, they charge us a small fee to throw out. I think if it's got like mercury in it or anything else like that. But they go through and they have a process that they send it off to people to reclaim any like metals that are in it, I understand. But anything that they can kind of refurbish, they then donate to, they have a application process, and they donate to, they were telling me they do it with battered women shelters, people that homeless that are, yeah, exactly. And to me, I'm like, that's great. If this doesn't end up in a landfill, somebody gets some use out of it for a few years, I think that's great personally. So I just wanted to run that by all of you. There might be a small fee for if they come to pick it up, but I want to run that by you before I sign any contracts with them. And even if we sign a contract, we're not locked into anything. It's just then if we do donate it to them, then there'll be that process.
Doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I really couldn't see any downside to it personally. I think where you would pay more to bring it to the transfer station, and then I don't know what happens to it after that point. To me, it seems like it's the most responsible. They actually will go as far as if they find we could, and it's in the application and agreement, but I'm not worried about it. But with the hard drives, if we wanted them to, they would wipe the hard drives, and then they have a shredder that will shred them down to 3 millimeters. I'm like, I think we don't really have any information that I'm worried about. If we wipe it 3 times, they wipe it. They have certificates from the, I think it's Department of Defense and NSA that they wipe to those standards. So that would be my suggestion for the old equipment. If you're okay with that, is I'm going to start getting that together and sign a contract with them. And at the end of the year, they'll actually send us a report of how many things that we donated were used, carbon offset, all that stuff. And I said, well, maybe that, I'll send that off to the commissioners when the time comes, and you can put it in the year-end report or anything if you want to do that. So
Is this them?
yes, it's called Give IT, Get IT. Yeah. They started out in,
I don't see their address on here.
yeah, they are, let's see if I can find it here. They are in the industrial park in Waterville. Yeah, but they started out, there's a small snippet here about their history. And they actually started out in 1998 and stopped in Springs. And yeah, they started out as PCs for Maine digital literacy program when they started this program. And they work with a group in Waterville, I think it's called Skills Inc. for staffing. So they staff folks that sometimes wouldn't fit into a normal business situation or anything like that. So they staff that. So I think it's a good deal and a good way to go. If you guys are okay with it, I'd like to proceed with that.
Yeah,
You should.
All right.
okay.
All right. Let's see. I've got the kickoff call for Office 365 this afternoon at 2, so that will start our migration to that, and I'll test it out for a while and see how it works before we move anyone else over to it. The sheriff's office moves, I think, are pretty much complete at this point. We moved Nick into an office and then the 2 new detectives into their new detective office, so I think that's all set. The cameras, we had a call with the body cameras and the car cameras yesterday. Still looking like March for that, and we're all set. We have everything ready to go, and we're all on the same page at this point. I already talked about this phone system. We figured out the strange voicemail thing at the comm center. It took us a while, but we finally figured out what was going on. So we had a phone in the current detective's office at the sheriff's office. They have a small closet that has their DVR for the interview room. There was a phone in there, and we reused that phone down at the comm center because nobody ever used it. And whenever anybody was on that phone and you called the comm center, it sent them straight to voicemail. So we got that resolved. It took us a while to figure it out, and a while to figure out why it had never been an issue, and it had never been an issue because nobody had ever used this phone, more or less. So, so we got that resolved. I've got the new cell phones for Commissioner Johnson and Fowler. I don't have them set up tomorrow, but I do have those ready. I have them in-house ready to set up for both of you. So, and that's all I had for you.
Questions for James? Well done. Bill?
All set, Dave.
All right, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, over here.
I was gonna say, jump on the seat on here, so would you like to?
I apologize, I had an issue come up last minute.
Executive session?
It may be it's a personnel issue, it may be something you want to do during your executive session.
Let's do it right now.
We'll do it, okay.
Well, Jason
Sorry.
and
Elaine.
Elaine. God, I'm like blank
I
here.
didn't know what you're trying to think of. Sorry.
I'm gonna have to have a fast completing executive session.
Okay, yeah, I'll go recording.
Entertain a motion to go in executive
So
session.
moved.
Title 1, subsection 45. A. Thank you. Thank you, Elaine. All right, apologize for that. There's no action coming out of that session. Barbara. Our county clerk, please.
All right. Well, it was funny because when I was here when we met the last time, I mentioned that I had sent a certificate of incumbency in, and that afternoon, I got an email from the department that we sent it to, and she said, no, we don't get those here. And she said, I've been trying to find out where they go, and I can't. So I contacted the other counties and asked them what they do, and they said, we've never heard of this. So I think it's an antiquated old thing that doesn't have to be done. And I left it with this woman that if she couldn't find out which department it was going to be sent with, I just wouldn't send them anymore, because there's no point if they don't, every place we send them doesn't want to get them. So I think it was probably left over, because I went back through the statutes, and corporations had to have these things done. And yes, the county is incorporated, but I think initially when it was done, that was probably sufficient. I don't know why it was kept on and why I was taught to do it, but anyway. I took the Freedom of Access training on January 26th, and that was
helpful. There are a couple things that changed that you may, I don't know who took it most recently, which
I
one of you?
did.
Yeah.
I don't know when I took it. Kelly just makes me take that stuff.
Well, two things have changed. I've got a copy for each of you. If you turn on the second page, you'll see highlighted. It's statute Title 1408A, payment of costs. So if somebody requests copies for a record, cannot charge up more than 10 cents a page. So we had to change our rate. And I don't know if you want to pick a particular rate you want per page, but I took down the sign that said $1 per page.
It's no more than 10 cents.
Correct. Yeah, or 8.5 by 11.
Yeah, wow, with the ink and everything else.
Mhm.
Oh. So what do you think it should be, Barb?
That is entirely up to you folks.
You're the one that would be making copies.
Well,
You can figure ink and all that crap, but,
you want to do 10? That's the highest you can set it at.
yeah, I guess.
So I would say,
Yeah, yeah.
Probably need a vote for that, sorry.
make that motion.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The other thing that changed right below it, it used to be that the first hour of work gathering things for someone for a freedom of access request, you did not charge them anything. But
Right.
now they've moved that up to 2 hours. So, and then it says that you charge a fee for the staff time of not more than 25 per hour. So that's something else you probably want to think about.
So it used to be 1 hour, you had to give them, now it's 2.
Mhm.
I leave it at 25 an hour,
All right.
25 an hour. I leave it at that way.
Yeah.
See how desperate or how badly the information is
We're
needed.
complying with the law.
Right, right.
I'll make that a motion.
Yep, second.
That's with the discussion. All those in
Thank you.
favor? Aye.
Thank you for doing that housekeeping. I think what else I learned in that class. Well, anyway, it's all stuff that I mostly was familiar. Just to update you, and I think you already spoke maybe about this, but the real estate agent emailed me on Monday asking for, the commercial agent in the Rockland office said he had a buyer that might be interested in the property and asked for a wetland survey. So we sent that off to them. And you know, this is kind of a side point, totally unrelated to, but we get a lot of phone calls here for the judicial center and have. And I've been trying to figure out why. I finally figured it out. Siri directs everybody here. I know, so Siri does, probably Alexa and whoever else. That's why the calls come here, and I don't know how to go about changing that. I'll have to change it. I've started up more year-end and year-beginning work, because let's face it, in 2021, it was, we were playing catch-up with a lot of other things here. So while I was over at the archive looking for that other information, it's pretty dusty over there and pretty in need of a good cleaning. So one of these days, I'm gonna put some work clothes on and let you know that I'm gonna be over there wiping everything down. And I've spoken with Karen, because there's a lot of finance records that have more than met their 6-year.
She's converging.
Bless her heart, yes. So she hasn't had time either, but we're gonna go over there and work on those. I'm gonna try to move some other things into boxes that need to. So, and I probably won't wait, if it's all right with you. I think I'm gonna stop waiting for the reentry folks to be free. I could take 4 boxes over at a whack here and there and just start setting that up. So I'll let you know what days I'll be over there, so that if you call and you're wondering where I am, find me. We also updated the records disposition forms with the department heads, because as you saw with Karen today, we have to record what we throw out. That's something that the state of Maine requires now, and you have to keep the record of that. It doesn't have to be terribly detailed, but we do have to keep the record. And I went over that with department heads at their last department head meeting. So that is that information. You saw minutes that I sent. I
I read them.
Yeah, there's, the only thing that was on there that bothered me, or I didn't like the wording. It's in the section, Barb, of where Dale brought it to our attention that, and I just want it worded differently. Dale brought it to our attention on the fuel tax.
Oh,
The
Oh,
sheriff's
yeah,
department.
Sheriff,
And it says in there that Dale requested that any money that he and Olga were able to get, go to EMA. Truly, I don't want that in there.
Okay.
Dale would never,
oh, I thought he asked you folks.
yeah,
that
no,
request.
and if he did, I don't want that in there, because I
Okay.
don't want it to be like, wow, I got the money, so,
Okay.
you know, I'll take
well,
it away from the sheriff.
I listened to the recording and that's what it said.
Yeah,
I'll remove
then,
it out.
then that wasn't the way he implied it, because, or meant to convey that message.
Okay,
If you could just reword that or take that out, I
I'll
mean,
just take that out.
we're most appreciative that, quite frankly, an update on that, it does look like the state was actually taking the fuel tax out in 2020. And I think you're only allowed to go back a year, and that was last year that we were talking about 2020. So at this point, I don't think we go back, but anyway, that was the only thing that I saw
Okay.
that
I'll
bothered
remove that.
me.
I'll
Do
remove
you understand?
yeah,
I just don't want bad blood
and
between.
now I didn't read it that way.
No,
I read it that, hey, we're looking into this.
so we're keeping
I'll
the
check
money.
with the sheriff and see if they want to look into it. That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think he was asking for their reimbursement, only for what he found for EMA.
I
Yeah,
don't know, if you look at that, I just, the
Okay.
way I read it, it looked like
Okay.
Dale was saying, oh, whatever money I get, we're keeping.
No, he meant for the EMA, only what
Yeah.
they found for EMA.
that's the way I read it.
And then he talked, I'll look at it and try to word it. Okay. So you're gonna hold off on that one, and I think that was January 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was October.
Oh, October. Oh, yeah.
It was October.
Okay, the
It was October's minutes, wasn't it? Because we were talking about different
No,
budgets.
I left the.
I thought it was December.
Hang on. That's what happens.
Forgive us, Elaine, okay? Don't judge.
When you send a bunch of.
It's entertaining.
Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, the minutes I was speaking of were October 21st.
Okay, okay,
Oh, I see, because there's also and December 30th.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Tricky.
Okay, so it was October 21st, no problem.
That's the one I'm speaking of. I don't know.
and when I read that, we'll get ours. And I will mention it to them if they want to get theirs. That's the way I read it.
Okay, well, as long as that's the way it is.
Yeah,
I just got a bad taste in my mouth when I read it, but I might have interpreted it wrong, Bill.
How about if, it is October 21, I just found it. He requested that the reimbursed funds, should I say, found for the EMA department?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? The
Yes, I do.
requested
Yep.
funds, so it does, it looks like everybody's fund, so,
I'll change it from for EMA,
no.
that were expended by EMA. Okay. I'll fix it so there won't be any confusion. I don't know if you were ready to approve the rest of those, or if you had any.
yeah, so I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh,
So I'll send you the October 21 back, so you can look at them the next time. Is that okay? All right. Thank you. That's all I have for you.
do we have any further business, Bill?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either. I think tomorrow is gonna be a work remotely day.
Work remotely because it's gonna be bad weather, icing, snow all day.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so be it.
Thank you.